All right, we're here with Lloyd Marcus at CPAC. Lloyd, Laura Ingraham wants to know, should the GOP go ahead and meet with Obama and the Democrats on February 25th to forge a bipartisan solution on health care?
Danger! Danger! Will Robinson! It's a trick! Don't fall for it! Don't go!
In the terms of bipartisanship, it's a term that's always used by liberals to get conservatives to cave for their principles. The American people resoundingly are saying we don't want any of Obama's policies, we don't want any of the left's agenda. I don't mind being the party of no. In fact, as some other people have said, we got to be the party of hell no to this agenda. It's radical, it's socialist, it wants to uproot and transform the very fabric of the United States. I do not want to work with them. I want to defeat them. I don't want to work with these people. Why would we want? I don't want to work with these people. Why would we want to work with these people? Obviously, liberals don't want to work with us. They tried to cram through health care legislation, and now that it's so unpopular, I say we let the left continue to offer their socialist policies, and we continue to show why they are wrong.
Should the GOP meet with Obama and the Democrats on February 25th to forge a bipartisan solution on health care?
I want SEIU and ACORN out of HCAN. I want them out of this thing. I don't think until an organization like ACORN hasn't been investigated and that a hate crime against Kenneth Gladney by SEIU thugs, these guys have not been investigated. And I think that as a protest vote, we cannot allow for the thuggery that dominated 2009 by groups that have a vested interest in the healthcare debate going in their direction because they gave so many hundreds of millions of dollars to Barack Obama. It's a tainted and corrupt process, and I think that on a mere protest vote that they're not serious about the corruption and the thuggery that was exposed in 2008. I don't think that they should show up, and that's a pretty strong argument. I believe it's a stunt. I believe everything. Barack Obama's entire skill set is an Oprah Winfrey, David Geffen, Jennifer Aniston, Hollywood-based smoke and mirrors. Everything is imagery. Everything is presentation. Barack Obama attempts to use poll-tested language in order to try and appear as if he's moderate when his every action is as radical as his radical past, and that is come to absolute fruition. People that voted for him, independents that supported him, said no, he's going to be the moderate he claims to be in his language. People are not stupid. The American people are not stupid. And to quote Reverend Wright, the chickens have come home to roost. And his actions are going to have to speak now, not his words, because he's been exposed as a charlatan when it comes to saying one thing and delivering another.
Congressman, just wanted to know, should the GOP meet with Obama and the Democrats on February 25th to forge a bipartisan solution on health care?
That would be a foolish thing to do in my view, unless we met some of the conditions. The first one is President Obama would have to agree that ObamaCare, this toxic stew that he has cooked up with ObamaCare, is off the table. That it's not going to be a vehicle to discuss, that it simply is something that's off the table. He's refused to do that, so I say we shouldn't meet on that Thursday the 25th. The second condition, though, would be this reconciliation package. This idea that they would pass the Senate bill in the House and then go back and pass a fixed bill in the Senate under the nuclear option, and then send that to the House to pass, that would go to the President's desk to amend the first bill. That is the most hardcore partisan kind of backroom dealing that I have ever seen. And it is a threat to Republicans. It is a loaded gun against our heads. We need to say, Mr. President, another condition to meeting is you have to renounce reconciliation, nuclear option. Now we get to a blank slate for the President, but we also need to have a blank slate for Republicans. Republicans should take their comprehensive health care bill off the table too, and come with this argument. The American people are sick of deals, whose ever back room it might be. We need to come with standalone legislation that everybody can understand. And that is this. We clear the table. We say, Mr. President, we'll sit down and talk with you. And we're going to talk to you about one subject first, the most important standalone piece of legislation that clearly everyone can understand, and that's to put an end to lawsuit abuse. You are not willing, Mr. President, to take a single dime out of the pocket of the trial lawyers. We need to reform the lawsuit abuse and the tort reform for medical malpractice that is costing this country $203 billion a year. That's $2 trillion over a 10-year period of time. We need to reform this and reduce the cost of health care over tort reform and pass that, send it on the President's desk. If we can pass it and sign it, then that should open it up so we can actually have bipartisan discussions. If that doesn't happen, there is no reason to meet with President Obama. And in fact, when you look at the majorities, that Nancy Pelosi has a 40-vote advantage in the House, Harry Reid still has a 19-vote advantage in the Senate. Who can imagine that we can get a deal that's good for the American people between now and November? Let's wait for after November, and when the new troops come riding over the hill, we will be able to craft health care reform that's good for the American people, that's good for the doctor-patient relationship, that's good for the free market system, and that actually sets this competition up and lets people control their own health care, which is the way we need to do it in the United States of America.